Think your favourite ship is toxic? I guarantee mine is worse.
If you wanna have to leave your home, just mess with a bottle of corn. You gotta make it to the woods if you can. If you can, if you can, you gotta make it to the woods if you can.
In 2016, German couple Baron Booda and Jantje Friese had a bonkers idea. They were looking for a show to pitch to Netflix.
And we were developing a TV series that was more like a crime drama. And we were also working on a time travel movie at the same time. So we had all this stuff on the table and thinking, okay, so what are we going to pitch Netflix?
The solution?
¿Por qué no los dos?
The result was Dark, a science fiction thriller spanning 3 seasons, 6 timelines, and 3 parallel universes.
Okay.
Dark made television history on many levels, but there's one thing the show doesn't get enough credit for, and that's romances. What do I mean? Well, this show paired up Noah, a groomer and child killer, with Elisabeth, a homicidal cult leader, and somehow, by giving them only 4 minutes of screen time, turned them into the most beloved couple on the show. Not to mention, Elisabeth gave birth to her own mother, Noah is Elisabeth's grandfather, and there was a 12-year age gap between the actors playing the couple.
What?
So how did this twisted romance become so popular? Today, we'll break down Elisabeth and Noah's relationship in forensic detail. Then, we'll find out what Dark can teach us about empathy. Dark starts out as a standard detective show, with a twist. 2 children have gone missing in the town of Winden. Little do their parents know, they've been sent back in time. Charlotte Doppler, chief of police, investigates the disappearances. So far, so Broadchurch. Meanwhile, a mysterious priest called Noah arrives in Winden with impossible knowledge about its residents. Back in the 1980s, the same Noah is experimenting on the kidnapped children, with disastrous results. Because we're familiar with detective shows, we expect this to play out the usual way. There's a bad character, there'll be some red herrings, then the good character will find the baddie and save the day. The detective show formula speaks to a black and white view of morality. Humans are divided into predators and prey. At first, Noah seems like a predator.
Wir alle, die wir die Dunkelheit kennen, sehen uns nach dem Licht, aber es gibt keinen Gott. Gott hat dieses Loch darauf nicht erschaffen. Gott hat keinen Plan.
He is named for the biblical Noah, a messenger of God. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Unfortunately, in this show, God is time, and time is your enemy.
Wir haben der Zeit den Krieg erklärt. Gott den Krieg erklärt.
It traps you in cycles of suffering. If Noah is God's messenger, he's probably bad news. And if you had any doubts, the show drops more hints that Noah is scary. He's often seen playing with a knife. He's always eating apples, which are basically Bible code for Satan. And in season 1, there's a cut from Noah's tattooed back to a dead child. The narrator asks, what's behind a black hole? And the implication is that Noah has hidden depths of evil. Then there's the soundtrack, which goes bananas every time Noah comes on screen.
Ich bin Noah. Ich bin Pfarrer der St. Christophorus-Gemeinde.
Dark is set mostly in the woods. The children of Winden are surrounded by pictures of woodland creatures. Mikkel, for example, has a toy fox on his bedside table. Animals represent innocence and purity. They live in the moment, and they can't reason the way that a human can, or at least so say the philosophers. Now, look at the wallpaper in Noah's lab. Notice anything? The wallpaper has woodland creatures. There's also another apple, because again, Satan. In this forest, Noah is the hunter.
No hunting. We're just gonna get us a no good fox.
But who is his next victim? Back in the 2010s/2020s, Elisabeth Doppler is a happy 8-year-old living with Mum Charlotte, Chief of Police, Dad Peter, and Sister Franziska. We're introduced to Elisabeth reading a book on lunar cycles. Her sister storms in, and it's here that we learn two things about this character. Elisabeth is profoundly deaf, and she's got a lot of spunk.
A few moments later.
Charlotte drives Elisabeth to school, and Elisabeth wears a fox hat for the occasion. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, her parents forget to pick her up, so Elisabeth decides to walk home. The last we see of her is in her fox hat, gleefully stomping through the woods. Elisabeth doesn't come home. Her parents find her hat in the forest and assume the worst. But Elisabeth reappears hours later. What happened? She says she was stopped by a man called Noah who wanted to give her a pocket watch. How did Noah know sign language? And why did he let Elisabeth go? We now have our predator and our prey. Through very efficient visual storytelling, Dark is signalling that Noah wants Elisabeth. What we don't know is why. On to Season 2. If Season 1 was a detective show, Season 2 is a Greek tragedy. Vinden is doomed to face a nuclear apocalypse. Meanwhile, its residents are slowly turning into monsters.
Das kann nicht sein.
Ich bin du.
Once again, time travel allows Dark to tell a conventional story in an unconventional way. Normally with tragedies, the hero starts at a high point. Then, due to some fatal flaw in their character, they fall from grace. Dark's storytelling is non-linear. The past is juxtaposed with the future, so we see the character at their highest and their lowest in the same episode. Confusing, but also kind of cool. In Season 1, we saw a young, innocent Elisabeth and an old, corrupt Noah. This season flips things on their head. We're now going to meet an old Elisabeth at the end of her rope. We're also about to meet a very impressionable teenage Noah. Young Noah lives in the 1920s. He's working for Adam, leader of a cult called Sigmundus, and a not very nice person.
Alle Spielsteine müssen auf ihre Position. Mama.
Noah's older self is also here to mentor him. On Adam's instructions, young Noah kills his father. He is, understandably, distraught about this, but his older self reassures him that to do good, we must listen to our inner voice.
Ich bin du. Ich bin deine Stimme.
But who was that?
Me! Me!
Young Noah does, and travels to 2020. Adam has promised him that if he's a good boy and lives through the 2020 apocalypse, Adam will someday open a time portal and send Noah to paradise. Meanwhile, old Noah continues to hop between time zones. We learn that he's been stealing children for Adam. Why? In exchange, Adam has promised to help Noah find his baby daughter, who Noah believes was stolen by Claudia, another time traveller. Are you with me so far?
I can't stop the confusion in my mind!
On his travels, Noah kills Claudia
Du hast mir alles genommen.
and makes a horrible discovery. Claudia never stole his daughter. Noah's baby is actually grown up and living in the 2020s. Noah's daughter is Charlotte Doppler.
What?
Furious, Noah returns to confront Adam, and Adam has Noah shot. We see old Noah lying dead next to a photo of Elisabeth. Then we cut to a young Noah travelling to the 2020s. This edit implies that Noah is stuck on a treadmill. His path always leads from here to Elisabeth to his ultimate demise. Okay, now let's check in on Elisabeth. In the 2050s, old Elisabeth is leading the survivors in post-apocalyptic Winden. Due to some trauma which we don't know about yet, Elisabeth has sectioned off the time portal, and she will kill anyone who goes near it. After nearly killing Jonas, who is actually young Adam, Elisabeth visits her secret space in the woods and digs out a box of memories, containing, among other things, her fox hat. The fox, which used to symbolize Elisabeth's innocence, now signposts her as a threat. There are also some Polaroids of Elisabeth, Noah, and their baby. Plot twist, Elisabeth is Charlotte's daughter, but also her mother.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Elisabeth finally overcomes her trauma and visits the time portal. Very coincidentally, it opens to 2020, where the apocalypse is starting. Elisabeth sees her mother Charlotte, who, unbeknownst to her, is also her daughter. They touch hands, and Charlotte is pulled from the 2020 zone into the 2050s. Meanwhile, young Elisabeth is sheltering from the apocalypse in the bunker, when in walks young Noah. The two lock eyes, and the moment is full of tension. Is this where Elisabeth's metamorphosis begins? As the apocalypse breaks, the song My Body is a Cage plays. The lyrics speak to the struggle between fate and free will.
Body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love.
Like Oedipus and other tragic heroes before them, fate has led Elisabeth, Charlotte, and Noah to the same destination, over and over. In Season 3, we'll see just how bad things get. Season 3 is where everything comes together, or comes apart. The residents of Winden are reeling from the apocalypse. Elisabeth and her father desperately search for her mother and her sister. All the while, they're secretly followed by young Noah. The show does its usual tricks here to make Noah scary. He lurks around in a black hood behind a black, sinister tank. Then he reveals himself to Elisabeth, and we get the standard blast of creepy music. Then something happens. Noah takes off his hood to reveal warm colours and a smile. Through Elisabeth's eyes, Noah looks like a totally different character. Noah and Elisabeth have a friendly chat before her father tells Noah to go away. It's here that Noah makes an ominous promise.
Du willst sie beschützen, ich weiß. Das will ich auch. Und das werde ich, nachdem du getötet wurdest.
A day later, Elisabeth has a nasty encounter with a burglar. He jumps on Elisabeth and tries to rape her. Peter arrives and fights the burglar, but is stabbed. Elisabeth, who has managed to untie herself, kills the burglar. Now, Elisabeth is terrifyingly alone. The soundtrack does amazing work here. We hear this eerie music as Elisabeth and Peter fight the burglar. After Elisabeth sees Peter's corpse, we zoom in on her face and hear a heart-rending ping. Then we cut to old Elisabeth and the ping repeats. The soundtrack is like a thread binding the scenes together. Elisabeth's transformation starts here. Elisabeth goes to the only person who can help her, Noah. And here we get a perfect musical montage. The song this time is In the Woods Somewhere, about a suicidal man whose lover has died. He wanders in the woods, planning to kill himself, when he finds an injured fox, bitten by a terrifying creature. When he meets the creature, the man is surprised to discover that he actually wants to live. He runs away before it bites him too. Just listen to this line. Now watch the scene.
I found something.
In season 1, Elisabeth was framed as prey and Noah a predator. In season 2, Elisabeth became the predator. Season 3 introduces a complex ecosystem where, just like the song, everyone is fighting to survive. The previous scenes foretold a really bleak future for Elisabeth and Noah. Somehow, this scene sparks hope. We know that the future will be tough, but the lyrics suggest that the bond between these two will make everything bearable. Years pass and Elisabeth and Noah struggle through together. Sometimes Elisabeth feels despondent, so Noah tells her stories about paradise.
Das Paradies ist frei.
Adam will keep his promise. The portal will open,
Und dann werden wir dort sein. Du, ich und Charlotte.
if only that were true. One night, old Elisabeth and Charlotte sneak into Noah and Elisabeth's shelter. They've been sent by Adam to kidnap the baby and take her back in time.
Who's been messing up everything?
It's been Agatha all along.
The couple find their baby gone. Noah promises to find her and time travels back to the 1920s, where we first met young Noah. Elisabeth stays behind, distraught. Once again, we hear a ping. Peter's death was step 1 on Elisabeth's road to ruin. Losing her husband and baby is the final step. Noah goes to Adam for help, and Adam tells him that Claudia stole Charlotte. But it's okay. Noah can get her back and live happily ever after with Elisabeth. He just needs to let the cycle repeat itself one last time. A detective show paints a black and white picture of morality, with goodies and baddies. A tragedy is more empathetic. But what if you put the two together? What if you could empathise with the killer from your Agatha Christie novel? Dark blends 2 genres and multiple time zones to create what Sea of Fog has called radical empathy. Dark is kind of like the experience you have when you look at a photo of a kid who grew up to be a murderer.
If someone who knew the future pointed out a child to you and told you that that child would grow up totally evil, could you then kill that child?
It's unsettling. Before they became this symbol of evil, they were a tiny human. Whatever awful things we do, we're all scared kids inside. And in the worst possible circumstances, maybe that could have been us. Noah and Elisabeth are like woodland creatures. They don't understand the forces controlling their lives. But unlike foxes, the things that make them human, their worldly attachments and their reason, trap them in perpetual suffering. As Sea of Fog says in his Dark video, Dark reminds us that people are never cruel in a vacuum. Everything we do is because of karma. And I don't mean the kind of karma you see on Twitter. I mean an endless cycle of cause and effect. Whether it's epigenetics, family trauma, or just the burden of history, we are always responding to what came before. Does this make cruelty excusable? No. But the name Dark is an invitation to look closely at the darkest parts of ourselves and understand them. That's why Elisabeth and Noah are Netflix's most twisted couple, but also its most interesting. If we can understand our own cycles of suffering, we might finally transcend karma and find paradise. Otherwise, we'll always be stuck in the woods somewhere. Thanks for watching Lingua Anomaly. Don't forget that overthinking is a superpower, and there is beauty in the way that you think. The result was Dark. Good Lord, my cat is breaking the door. Okay, I let you in and then you want to go out and then you're such a cat. We'll find out what Dark... living with her mum, Charlotte. Oh my God, the German, I'm getting it wrong. Her parents, Rani. She's like the Duracell bunny today. Young Noah lives in the 2020s. No, he doesn't. That's the wrong time zone. They've been sent back in time. Oh my God.